Hello, good morning. This is Playbook's managing editor and author, Jack Blanchard. It is Wednesday, April the 9th, although you wouldn't know it if you set foot outside in Washington, D.C., where it is absolutely freezing for reasons I cannot fathom. But here we are, and what's driving the day today is, of course, those massive Trump tariffs that have now taken effect this morning. As of midnight, we have 104% tariffs on all those cheap consumer goods that America has been importing from China. 46% tariffs on all those cheap clothing that's been made in Vietnam, 24% tariffs on electronics from Japan, and on it goes. He went ahead and did it, and we will see the latest market reaction to that when they open at 9:30 a.m. It's clearly the only topic we've been talking about all week. It's clearly the only topic we're going to be talking about today as well. Here with me to talk about it, I'm delighted to say, is our Politico's White House bureau chief, once again, Dasha Burns. Dasha, good morning. I hope you've been keeping warm. They told me it was a warm country I was moving to, but it appears not.
Yeah, this is not okay. I'm from San Diego, and this is the time of year where my family who's there spending time on the beach this week is like, question your life choices.
Question your life choices, indeed. But here we are. He went ahead and did it. We are a week out from Liberation Day. We're all now officially liberated. We heard from Donald Trump last night that he is not finished, that we're going to see pharmaceuticals are going to be the next sector that gets tariffs as well. How are they feeling about it all in the White House? You've been talking to them in there. What's the mood?
Yeah, I mean, they are feeling remarkably good considering the meltdown that is happening around them right now. Look, the mood inside the White House is very strong in terms of the backbone, in terms of feeling like this is the reaction that they expected. Look, this is not Trump 45. This is Trump 47. And Trump 47, doesn't really give a hoot about a lot of what Trump 45 gave a hoot about. You know, the market was something that he was keeping a close eye on before, something that was sort of mediate and moderate how he did things. That's just not the case now. He has a team around him that has his back, that's telling him go for it. He's removed a lot of the guardrails that were in place in his first term. And he's not worried about re-election. He wants to do this his way. He is set on this. Tariffs, this is something he's been talking about for 40 years, right? Go back to baby Trump. And this was something that's in his mind. Trump is not a big ideologue. There aren't a lot of issues that he has a pretty staunch position on. You've seen him waffle on so many different things, depending on who's in his ear last. This issue, tariffs, is just not one of them.
Nevertheless, we have seen over the last few days what looked to me like tentative baby steps, not away from the policy, but towards this idea of using the tariffs to strike some deals with some key trade partners, what Donald Trump would call better deals. And I think that's a message certainly that his Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has been pushing. And yesterday, or earlier this week anyway, we saw them start to move on this. We know negotiations are about to open with Japan, South Korea, and then presumably more. Do you think that might be a sign that something in the middle of the markets careering all over the place, the GOP on the Hill feeling nervous about this, all those voices in Trump's ears, he might be thinking, well, maybe I need to move a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, our colleagues Megan Messerly and Sam Sutton had great reporting about how Secretary Bessent gave Trump advice on not changing policy, because no one's going to get him to say he's changing policy, but to shift the messaging here from, this is non-negotiable and we're remaking the world order, more to we're here to cut deals. But I'll say that from the beginning, a lot of White House insiders were telling me that this is a part of the art of the deal. Now, I don't know if that was wishful thinking on their part or if that was the reality. But right now, the posture within the White House and those closest to Trump is that it's not one or the other, that they can do both, and that it's very much going to be country by country. There are some parts of the world, some nations that Trump thinks have been ripping us off for a long time. China's one of them. And that is going to be a harder needle to move. But then there are others where he might be willing to cut deals, like Israel, for example, although we still don't know, given the concessions that Netanyahu said he gave today, if he's actually getting anything back for that. I think, some of the reporting we have overnight is that there is a long list of countries that are trying to get in touch. I don't know if they're going to need to do like a cute, like, hold please, your call is important to us, kind of like, phone queue or what, because now that they have said it's country by country, like they're getting a lot of calls. We have reporting on that. They're saying that, but how are those calls going to be handled? Who are they talking to? Is it Navarro and Lutnick and Bessent handling 170 some nations? Like, how is this actually going to work if it is going to be as individual as that?
Right, all those nations, then all those penguins as well, which will obviously
Those
take
poor
up. It's
penguins.
going to take up a lot of time, but hey, they have to have their say as well, right? No, it's completely true. It doesn't look like a quick process, and you also get the impression that there are some countries that Trump probably doesn't want to do a deal with, as you say, if this is going to be done case by case. It feels like even if some of these tariffs are eventually removed, a lot of them are here to stay, at least for as long as Donald Trump is the president. If most mainstream economists are right, though, what these border taxes, because that's what they are when goods come into the country, they put a tax on it, are going to do is put the prices up on those products because, that tends to be what happens. Is there a chance that some of the sort of MAGA supporters of this policy who like the idea in the abstract might start to change their minds if they see prices starting to go up over the next few weeks and months?
It's a great question. I do think that the messaging piece is really important here. Like I actually had we moved to Washington D.C. and we bought a house and we had to have a little bit of work done, and some of the folks that were there, I was asking them about this and they said, well, listen, like I have a small business that relies on like lumber that's imported and we might be hit by some higher prices. But if the idea is that this is going to bring back jobs to parts of the country that have long been forgotten, like I could be on board with that, right? I think that the ability of this administration to display empathy and to message the bigger picture is going to be a big linchpin for the working class base that right now they feel like is with them. And I'll say some of the people that I've been talking to that I met on the campaign trail when I reached out, they're like, yeah, the US has been getting screwed for a long time. Like we're here for it. I'm going to keep checking in with those people because, what happens when they go to Walmart and, everything is 2x, 3x, 10x the cost. But this is what he said he was going to do. And I wonder if it's not, are the folks on Wall Street who supported him the ones who had some rose-colored glasses on about what he actually meant and what he didn't mean, and if some of the working class folks were really on board. Again, this all changes once it hits your pocketbook right now, right? But right now it's people with a stake in the market that are and that's not to discount, folks with 401ks and all of that. But I do think there's a bit of a divide currently between some of the grassroots level folks and the more, the traditional Republican business class in terms of how they're responding to this. But again, boy, we're going to be talking about this for a really long time. And I think that the pendulum is going to keep swinging here.
Right. And of course, being political nerds as I certainly am, and I'm going to say you might be as well, Dasha, we're already looking forward to the next elections that are going to be really significant, right? Back end of next year, of course, we have midterm elections, and you can sense within the Republicans over on the Hill a nervousness already about these tariffs and how that might play out for their own re-election chances. Do you think Donald Trump listens to those voices, the sort of senior figures on the Hill who might be concerned?
Well, this is a big question that I'm going to be asking. Like, how much does President Trump care about the midterms? I think he does to an extent because he wants to say he's ushering in big sweeps for the Republican Party. But at the same time, again, this is Trump 47. It's not Trump 45. And he has a really on this issue more than anything else, a really clear idea of what he wants to do and what his vision is. And I don't know that anything right now has come anywhere near close to swaying him on the fundamentals there. However, I'll say right now, folks inside the White House are telling me that they're seeing some polling that this is going over well with working class voters. I'll say we haven't seen that polling ourselves, but people who I talked to who were skeptical, even last week, who were worried that this was going to be politically perilous for both Trump and the GOP are now saying, hey, you know what? I actually don't think this is the problem that we thought it was, and it might actually like help the GOP chances in the midterms. But we are, oh man, we are a ways away from seeing if that's a reality, especially when the effects of this. It takes a while. The stock market fluctuates minute by minute, right? But the price of goods, it takes a while for that to really hit home.
It certainly does, but you can be assured that everyone in Washington will be watching those two metrics pretty closely over the next few weeks. The stock market, which opens shortly at 9:30, and I suspect we may see another roller coaster there. And then you can just know all those journalists are going to be out in the shops looking at the price of everything and trying to figure out if we can blame Donald Trump for this or blame Donald Trump for that. All right, Dasha, we better leave it there. Thanks very much for joining us today.